To be fair, that was not a confession. He just said, that's impossible, because I had nothing to do with it. No, now you're falling into the trick, you stupid idiot. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Stoneface Reactions. I'm Theta, this is Lessons, and we are back for the final episode of Gaiden in total. After this, we have a movie, and then we're going to be starting the show in actuality.
Itself.
Yeah,
finally.
So we come back from 3 episodes of sort of a mystery. So we're going to have notes, obviously, about the build-up, and then today we're going to be watching the culmination of everything that's happened so far. But yeah, as I said, we got notes, we got a board, we got a comment. So let's hop into the board first, where I have the board changelog to keep track of everything that's happening so far. I have added Michael von Kieserling, Hoffman, Christopher von Bassel, and Johanna von Bassel. I connected Kirchis to Kieserling with a green line. I connected Christopher with Johanna with a blue line. I connected Hoffman to Kirchis with a green line. I connected Christopher to Kieserling and Kirchis with a white line. And I connected Kieserling to Johanna with a green line with a purple arrow from him to her.
Unrequited love and all of that. I mean, it makes sense. Although, well, I guess it's too early to say that von Bassel has a red line to Kirchis.
I mean, I have notes, but here's the thing. That's why I put a white line, because it's unknown at the moment. Heavily suspected, but unknown.
In my version, I have 2 Admiral Reinhard von Lohengramm.
Yeah, no, there are. I told you this a while back. I ran out of space to connect to the original, so I had to make a second one to connect to. Anything that applies to the first applies to the second.
Well, that makes sense. I go to my notes then. I don't have that many, especially in the 3rd episode, but we'll see where we go with this. Dishonor. Episode 1. In the last arc, Reinhard complained that the Imperial Navy was tied to Eisenlohn, but considering the series of disasters outlined in the opening, it may well be that the leadership of the Navy simply doesn't trust its units to conduct truly bold actions without risking crushing defeats.
No, because remember the events of the beginning are describing events across a timeline. They're not happening while Eisenlohn. Well, one of them is happening while Eisenlohn is happening. The other 2 are across time. That's why they give dates for them.
Yeah, but he could have influenced the development of Eisenlohn and then sticking to Eisenlohn in such a way that's like, oh yeah, we can't.
You're saying he wasn't at all 3 events.
No, the Navy, the leadership I'm talking about. Like, yeah, we don't trust ourselves in the offensive very much, so let's build a defensive position here and a very strategic position.
I mean, I think it stands against that, too, because the element is that here's very specific events in which we failed, implying that they were successful everywhere else. Like, it's hard to call out these negative events and not think to yourself, oh, so if these are the only negative ones where dishonor was given to the Navy, then they've been winning everywhere else then? Or, like, why call out these ones specifically if we're only saying these are the times where the Navy felt great shame? And it's like, so no other time, though.
Not enough to be considered dishonorable, but still failures. I mean, we've fought for 369 battles over 150 years, and
we're only calling out 3. That's what I'm saying, though.
And the alliance is still standing, so yeah.
Yeah, but that has nothing to... I think we covered this already before, where the Alliance feels like it has to defend and win, versus the Empire has the feeling of they don't care about losing, but they're always on the attack.
You know that.
Funny enough, of the 3 dates I have for the possible start of the war, the one suggested by Reinhardt, Gang, and the narrator, I'd figure that the narrators would have been the most reliable. For reference, in 792, the narrator suggests that the war started 150 years ago, so 332 Imperial calendar. So kind of funny when the first battle that gets talked about this episode, the Battle of Dagon, happens in 331, a year before the narrator suggested that the war started. I mean, sure, could have been the first battle of the war, and the narrator was just off by a year, but for some reason it just doesn't feel that way. Remember, I've got pages of calendar events now listed all over my thing, so I'm keeping track.
On a technicality, no, because these are, I wasn't declare war, but not really, because you declare war against enemies that are nation states, right? You don't declare war against
I'm saying
rebels.
that benefit of the doubt, it could be possible that this is the opening battle of a war, and that war wasn't declared until later. But the element that we have two entire fleets fighting kind of implies that the Empire could have had a pre-existing fleet. But that also denotes that the rebels have a fleet now capable of fighting, and then they won. So, it just seems like weird that this is a year before the narrator's own suggestion of when the war started.
Also, again, a declaration of war would imply that you recognized your opposition as a legitimate.
I don't think we can pull that card at this point, because we acknowledge that we are at war. They call them rebels. They don't acknowledge their polity, which is to say they don't call them the Alliance. They call them the rebels, but they do acknowledge that they're at war with them.
But that's not the same as a declaration of war. So declaration of war doesn't really work for the distinction between that date and the actual whatever actually date of the war is, starting of the war is. You just be at war, and that's it. It's like, yeah, we're at war with rebels. Okay, cool. We're going to make a declaration? No. We're fighting them. We don't need to declare to these assholes. What are you declaring? No declaration required.
Well, it's also the element that the narrator's suggestion of 332 is the earliest one of the three that I have. So the Imperial loss of the Battle of Dagon in 331 predates all three examples of when people have referenced the war starting.
My second note, Planet Soft. DOFT, I think. A giant purple and magenta marble hanging in the sky. Instead of Earth, which is a blue and green marble, this is a purple magenta one. And a gas giant to boot. Yeah.
I don't know why I acted surprised during the reaction that when they brought up Mickelson's assassination in 442, we already knew that, as I already had it on my timeline of events. I think that comes up during Spiral Labyrinth.
As well as a defection there afterwards.
But no, the whole thing. Both characters get mentioned there in the opening of this element, but we already knew everything. I guess this is just here for anyone who doesn't want to sit through 14 episodes of Spiral Labyrinth, which wouldn't blame them. Here at the end, that was just the worst part of Gaiden, and it's also the thing we started with.
Got it out of the way. For someone who doesn't have any emotional attachment to his family name, Reinhard sure got, emotional. I have no attachment to the music. Like, okay.
This is my problem. Is I thought I had a note about that, but I don't see it in my next 6 notes. So it's like, either I didn't get there for a lot of other things to say, but yeah, no, I may have a note about that in the future as well. Just yeah. Just the element that he lists all these horrible things that the lohengramm family has done.
Oh, I have another note about that. I'm talking about that. I have
No. That's part of the same conversation that he has that in.
Yeah.
The element that he would rather be tied to a family that's done all of these horrible things than be tied to a family where the father sells the daughter into to the Kaiser. Yeah. That one thing is worse than all of the other things that he lists. Which, again, I believe is that is 5 notes down. In describing his distaste for his birth name, Reinhardt seemingly suggests that he's preferring to be associated with all of the crimes that the state perpetrates on its people rather than being the son of a man who would sell his daughter to the Kaiser.
I read it different. I have a note about that. I read it differently. Let me read my note.
To defend myself, that's literally what he says. He lists all the accomplishments of the Lohengramms, which is literally crimes the state has perpetrated on its own people, and says, I would rather that than that fucking name that I was born with. Which is the only reason he would be upset about his own name is that he hates his father for what he did to his sister. So he's saying, I would rather have all of those other things associated with me because of my name than that what happened to my sister.
It is very personal, and he's living it through it, so I guess it would be a raw.
Well, yeah, that's why he cracks back at Kerchase when Kerchase brings it up.
Since you said a note, I'll say my friend. I do like the fact that Reinhard is fully aware of the crimes of the Empire, and by extension, the family he's taking his new name from. And my take on it is like, I know who these people are, right? I'm not deluded in thinking, oh, it's a noble family. I'm saying, no, I know. He's one of the founding fathers of the Empire. And the way the Empire came about is because they suppressed the people and did all these horrible things. That's why I'm in a crusade against changing not taking down the Empire, rather changing it, reforming it, but still, right? Yeah, he still thinks the Empire is something that can't be saved, I guess, in spite of all that, which kind of makes sense because he grew up in the Empire, so he's seeing so positive things about the Empire. So
I mean, what was his name? I've got it here in my timeline.
Also, perhaps he's also thinking that
Rudolph von Goldenbaum did it. Why can't he? Rudolph von Goldenbaum turned a galactic federation into an empire. Why can't Reinhardt, if he thinks he's better than the Goldenbaum dynasty, think that he can turn an empire into something else?
Also, probably he thinks that the standard attack of revolution doesn't work because all the people end up in detention camps and the likes. Like, well, they tried it the old-fashioned way and it doesn't seem to be working. The most successful rebellion, they just left the empire. They just ran away. They didn't actually take down the empire. They haven't been able to take down the empire from the outside in over 150 years. So, yeah, something else needs to be done here.
It's interesting that the event that sets up most of the background of what we'll be dealing with in this arc, the Battle of Arlesham Star Zone, happens in 483. That is the year Reinhardt is having his duelist arc while being an investigator on Odin, and leads right into the 5th Battle of Iserlohn. A fairly eventful time for our main characters and the Empire as a whole, while this was happening elsewhere. It's also interesting that with the 5th Battle of Iserlohn being an Imperial victory, that the loss at Arlesham would so severely damage the pride of the Imperial forces.
And also, I think it's also interesting that he being part of that fleet in that action, instead of being dueling, his reputation would have been marred by it as well. But because he was dealing with this, he was actually on vacation, essentially. Every time they have a vacation.
He wasn't on vacation.
He was on, I think
he was an investigator on Odin. I even just mentioned that. I mean, this isn't the arc that we see them doing investigator stuff, but they were stationed as investigators on Odin when the duelist arc happens.
Which, by the way, they also discovered that they were, as a matter of course, people were diverting, goods and services away from.
Yeah, but they don't mention anything about dioxin or anything like that. This is more like people skimming the top.
And everybody's like, that happens. It's just, we don't do anything about it. We're saying, oh, well, great discipline. My next note. That was one hard desk to knock out somebody like that. And if it is, that guy had a really hard head to break it like that. So when Kirshai does the leg sweep, he falls his head against the desk. He starts bleeding from the mouth, I think it is. But there's a crater behind him. I was like, Jesus Christ.
Well, he's on drugs.
Yeah.
It's like taking out someone on speed.
So he didn't feel any pain, but probably he's going to need a head, somebody check his noggin to see if it survives.
I should also explain with my notes that I wrote them in the order that I was watching. So sometimes I'll throw out ideas or things that get explained later. and I just didn't delete the note. So to explain that this gets explained by something else later on, this note still stands for me, though. If Kaiserling's fleet opening fire early was a plot from within, then it clearly wasn't a well thought out one, considering that there was a 60% mortality rate. I mean, unless it was one of those, do this dangerous and deadly thing, and if you die, we'll pay your surviving family members a lot of money. But that doesn't seem indicated anywhere either.
Well, you said that it does explain get explained later.
Yeah, they're hallucinating.
Yeah,
because they're all on fucking drugs, which, by the way, isn't that great of an explanation.
Yeah.
I think if all of your fleet is so on drugs that they're hallucinating, that probably would have become evident at some point earlier.
Yeah.
Unless everybody on your command ship all decided not to be on drugs and just, like, you never see anything. Like, how does it get to that point?
Which leads to the comment that Kaiserling says later on about that it's still a failure of his command, even though he wasn't responsible for the drugs distribution. He didn't notice it and didn't do anything about it. So, yeah, still a failure of his command. So the currency of the empire is the mark, perhaps the gold mark. And I say that because the Reichsmark is what happens after 1931. So,
well, I mean, we're pretty much coded for a very specific era, I feel like.
But we also have the Kaiser and 18th to 19th century nobility style clothing, so it could be a combination of both, right?
Yeah.
So that's why
it could be an overlay. We didn't want to call him the Führer, so we just well,
also,
what happened before?
It's a gold bomb. It's the gold bomb dynasty, which is very much Jewish coded because that's a Jewish name, and it's gold, so makes sense. Oh, I'm gonna name my currency after myself, the gold mark.
I don't know. I'm assuming we'll get more about that when the show proper, because the show proper is also going to have to explain things to us that I feel like watching Gaiden kind of expected that we would already know as well.
Yeah.
Kirchase lists a number of admirals he says aren't pleased to be serving under Reinhardt in the coming fleet operation next year. 3 of them we clearly haven't met, as they are not on the board. That's Forgel, Fahrenheit, and Erlash. The other 2, Meerkats and Staden, we've seen, but I have no idea why they would be against Reinhardt other than the reason everyone else seems to dislike him. Staden served with Grimmelshausen, and Meerkats was just one of the admirals we saw during other operations that didn't really get any spotlight beyond being seen. Really, I think the entire scene is just to introduce the fact that Kaiserling was betrayed by those beneath him, as Reinhardt is telling Kirchase that the possibly rebellious admirals beneath him will follow his orders because they have to, setting him up for future failure.
Or he's discovering that he's going to be betrayed and dealing with it in one way or the other.
Well, it's analogous. It's analogous that Kaiserling gets betrayed by the people under him because he didn't suspect that they would betray him, and Reinhardt is going into what is ever going to happen next year with I don't care if they're rebellious, they have to listen to me. Just the kind of hubris which is setting him up to be betrayed.
Yeah. This is a note on drug use in the military, so bear with me. Extensive drug dealing in the military is often seen as a sign of bad or declining discipline. As a real-life example, the U.S. military was plagued with extensive drug use during the 1970s. According to the figure released by the Pentagon, approximately 42% of the U.S. military personnel in Vietnam in 1971 had used opiates at least once, and half of these individuals were reported to be physically dependent at some time. Although other studies point to the fact that drug use was not the cause of, but rather the symptom of other problems with discipline and leadership during the war. And also that a lot of these people did recover one way or the other. So, yeah.
I mean, obviously I have no first-hand experience in any of that, but watching movies based on, say, like Vietnam and shit, you get a lot of that, so.
So that might be analogous to what's happening here, right?
Yeah. See, I already said the birth name thing. As Siegfried is first arriving, there is a group of people holding a banner and wearing matching outfits. Unfortunately, most of the text is covered by the crowd standing in front of it, The bands on their clothes say mine and a word starting with M, then hand and a word starting with K. Not much there. Let's see. But on the banner, the word Terra is fairly obvious, making me think it might be referring to Earth. For a moment, I thought they might have been drug protesters, as we hear that thioxin is terogenic, but that only has one R, and their signs have two R's.
Yeah, but also said that the drugs are manufactured, not grown. So
I don't know what that has to do with anything.
I mean, that it came from Terra, particularly.
No, I'm not. Sorry, you're
complaining.
conflating the two things because I put them in a sentence nearest to each other. I said I, for a moment, thought they could have been drug protesters because of the word terogenic and the fact that they have a TER word in the banner that's somewhat covered up. I'm indicating that I think it has to do with Earth because it has the word TERRA and then a bunch of other text that I can't read. And I'm indicating that my drug conflation is wrong because terogenic is TERA, not TERRA. So I think that the sign might have something to do with Earth. Or ground.
Well,
they could be talking about just the ground. I have no fucking idea. I'm making a stretch.
If they're following the German, I found that in German it's called Erde, or Earth. Erde, not Terra. But then it could be still a carryover from an ancient way of talking about Earth. Which
could be in the future that they just call Earth Terra, so they're not calling Earth Earth, they're calling Earth Terra, in which case they would still write Terra.
It's Latin for Earth.
I mean, it's the same way that in the Mirror universe, it's Terra.
Yeah, Terran Empire. Okay.
That's a Star Trek reference for you people in the audience who only watch Legends of Galactic Heroes and have no idea what the Mirror universe is.
My next note then. The balance of this episode is spent in a massive info dump that tells A, the police can't handle the drug problem diffuse in the station. B, giving us a reason for Kirchais to take the lead in the investigation. And B, there's no C. Good thing he had experience crime fighting. I started talking like there was a C and a D and an E, and I was like, nope, just two.
I do that sometimes when I'm writing a thing where I feel like I have a number of points and I give the description from my points that are going to be forthcoming, and I realize I only have 2 points, and it's like, gotta change that. Not a strong lead up, but
bit awkward there.
Yeah, I mean, that's the setup for the arc, thanks to Hoffman.
Yeah.
I don't know if it means anything, especially since we've watched 3 out of 4 episodes of the arc, and it hasn't mattered yet. But when Hoffman first meets Kirchais, he bows. I don't remember very many people bowing in the show so far. Everyone is so German-coded in the Imperial side that this just kind of feels like a random Japanese culture thing slipped in. Had the arc given me reason to suspect, I might have thought Hoffman was a rebel spy or something, and the bow was just a bit of a more multicultural aspect of the Alliance slipping through.
I think I've seen some bowing. Not as much as you would expect, but I've seen some bowing done.
I want to tell you lessons that my note said I don't remember, not that no one's ever bowed. I very clearly prefaced my mind.
I remember some examples of bowing, yeah. But yeah. I know, but these are also supposed to be nobles as well, so you kind of bow, bowing to people, especially to the abilities, not just...
Hoffman's not a noble, and Kirchais is not a noble. So Hoffman bowing to Kirchais doesn't make sense from that perspective.
Yeah, no, it would be bowing Kirchais to kiss a ring.
Right, but that's not something that happens. People salute, but that's military side. None of the nobles have ever bowed at one another that I remember prefacing.
And actually, this is again
post-facing.
And one of those notes that may prove wrong in the future, but I wrote it anyway. I feel the message of this entire arc will be drugs are bad, okay?
Yeah, I can't remember his name. Mr. something.
Yeah.
Around the time Hoffman says that dioxin use started becoming prevalent in the fleet was also when the second Battle of Tiamat happened.
Interesting. The board back just in case I forget names. Some lousy with names. I'll go to the second episode, Dishonor 2. After the introduction and recap of the last episode, we then get another long info dump, this time about the Admiral's personal life and why he is here. how the Admiral is, to put it bluntly, a nice guy, and how Kirchai sees his situation with Anne Rose reflected in the Admiral's life.
Yeah, the only reason he thinks that Kieserling is a good guy is because he sees his relationship with Anna Rose in the same perspective of this guy with Johanna, even though it doesn't even equal 1-for-1 at all. All right, here's my longest note, and one that probably is ruined by the fact that we watched 3 episodes back to back as I tried to come up with a theory about what's happening somewhere near the beginning of episode 2, and then had to watch episode 3. Anonymous tip that the drug leader would be on station. From who? We know Christopher lied about when he would arrive, having been there for days, but claiming to have just gotten there. If he was the source of the tip, it would be pointing the finger at Kieserling as having just arrived, and then attention being brought to him for having been assaulted by a drug addict. At the same time, though, if Christopher set both things up, then why? I don't see how Christopher could think that Kieserling could have defeated that thug with a knife. I think the expectation there would have been that Kieserling would have just died. It seems to me that the tip to the police and the assault must be from 2 different players. I suspect Kieserling tipped off the police about Christopher's arrival. He's the only one that thought Christopher was arriving that day, in fact. I think Christopher set up the assault, arriving early to get things set up ahead of time. And both of these men are trying to take the other out. Just to tack on a little bit more, Hoffman might be working for Christopher. Hoffman claims to be watching out for Kirches, but somehow missed a whole assassination attempt. Talking about the room thing. Yet someone was there knocking on his door without him ever calling for help. Very suspicious. Then, of course, he keeps calling out Kieserling as the possible culprit, so...
Yeah, we get revelations later on that puts a lot of holes in that theory. It's a good
that's
theory,
what I'm saying, and then had to watch episode 3. But
so
before
I'm not
all of that...
comment on it, yeah.
I mean, the room thing still is a major thing, that
I have a note about that.
He's supposed to be keeping eyes... Well, then we'll read yours in response to what I'm about to say. He's keeping eyes on him, and yet gonna let him die? And then he never calls out for help or anything. He's just breathing on that thing. And then, you okay? You okay in there? You guys knew I was being assassinated? How do you have a guy at the door already?
I mean, it could be one of the help as well, but then they call the cops. We don't know how much time it takes between the door opening, apparently, and
it seems to me that they expected to go in there and find him dead, and that was going to be the confirmation that he was already dead. That they didn't expect him to wake up, get the thing on his face and everything like that. And that was going to be this is just a check to see if you're okay in there. Ah, shit, he's alive.
Okay. As dramatic as his assassination attempt on Kirchheis was, it makes no sense that he would have oxygen bottles in his dresser. I mentioned that in the original episode. We watch it. Or that it would be that effective unless the front door sealed the room tight enough to do not let any air escape. That it would take a significant amount of dry ice and access to the air conditioning system to pull it off without being detected.
So
because
2
a little
things.
dry ice would not.
Okay, I mean, I accept your premise on the dry ice and recording a lot of it. They could just pump CO2. It's Hoffman that comes up with maybe it was dry ice. Maybe they had a source of CO2 just from like the atmospheric recycling system, and they just pump that directly into the room. To the door thing, man, maybe they do. I mean, maybe that's just a feature of the place. It's just a space station after all.
Yeah.
So maybe the rooms are isolatable, like an emergency system in case this place gets attacked. The room is its own safety pod or whatever. The canister, though, I have a note about that, so I'll respond to this with another note. The canister Kirchheis is breathing from was labeled LO2, so liquid oxygen. In this form, it's mainly used to supplement oxygen for people with conditions like asthma, COPD, or pneumonia. It's an interesting thing to have locked away in a drawer. Based on the contents of the drawer, it seems like a bunch of medical equipment, so not specifically a gas mask in case the station has a leak or anything. 2 canisters of liquid oxygen, though, seems like a bit much for an emergency medical supply.
Yeah. And Kirchheis doesn't seem to be the person that suffers from asthma or anything else, considering how how energetic he is. I mean, people can have asthma and then become professional athletes. I know that people are like, well, this person
Yeah,
became
no, I had
this
a
person.
friend who had
Yeah,
asthma who
yeah,
joined the military. So
yeah.
I believe he's
So
God. I remember he's a devil dog. I think that's Marines,
yeah,
the local. Anyway, I don't think it's for him. It seems to be a general drawer of medical supplies. Like, I don't think he brought with him the fact that he had to the fact he had to unlock it might imply that it's like a safe. So that's like the room's safe in the drawer. I don't know. I interpreted it as it was like just the hotel room supply of medical stuff. Like, instead of having what do you call it? With all the candy bars, they had to pay like $12 for a
yeah,
candy bar.
yeah. The
That they
mini
have a
fridge and
thing
all
full
that.
of
Yeah,
medical supplies.
yeah.
But again, it's the fact he had to unlock it now makes me think that might just be the room safe, and that he just brought a bunch of medical supplies with him. I don't know.
Yeah, which is kind of weird. But to your next note then.
No, that was my note as a response to your note, so it's your note now.
Okay. My last note of this episode, I still have a couple more for the next episode. Like I said, I don't have a lot of notes. And the most important part of this episode for me is the revelation that the time discrepancy between Kaiserling thought his friend would arrive, Basil, and when they actually did. We're friends, because it also includes Joanna as well.
Yep, that was part of my I think they're going after one another idea.
Yeah. That seems to be ultimately, that's all what this episode boils down to. It's like, yeah, this is
like I said, the fact that Kaiserling is the only one who thought that Christopher was arriving at that time. So somebody calling in a thing on the time that he would be arriving seems to be suspicious. That's why I came up with that idea before. And the element that there's no one in the world that thought Kaiserling was going to beat up that thug with a knife. So if anyone put that to a thing, they would just assume that Kaiserling would be dead. There's no way that they set up an entire operation assuming old-ass Kaiserling was going to beat the shit out of that thug. By the way, it just occurred to me who that reminds me of. Did you watch Heavy Metal?
The movie? Yeah.
Yeah, what's the guy that Stern hires?
I mean, there's so many sections.
The janitor guy who's rolling I can't remember the green ball thing. He's rolling it between his fingers while he's on stand.
Yeah.
Stern! He gets all fucking big and jacked. Yeah. That's what that guy reminded me of. Let's see here. The last time Kaiserling took a vacation, apparently, was the year before Anna Rose got sold to the Kaiser.
Nothing. Just took
a
vacation.
Me, I just love attaching things to the timeline of events that I already have. Like, what was this old man doing in this year? It's like, oh, actually, that's the year that Bruce Ashby graduated or something. It's just like funny, the timeline of events of all these characters. We have so many characters with so many timelines that we can just, what was happening the year you were born.
Yeah. And then my last three notes, they're all very short for the last episode. So I'll start with the first one, Dishonor, episode 3. Basil looks like a bad guy because he is a bad guy.
Technically, Kaiserling is a bad guy.
Why?
He also was doing the whole drug trade thing. He and Christopher are both guilty.
Oh, we don't know that.
No, they came out in like episode 3. That both of them were culpable for dealing dioxin across the fleet. It's just that he thought that the woman that Johanna loved had to be pure, so he didn't He didn't push the accusation when it came up at court-martial. He remained silent on the issue.
I don't understand that he was pushing. I think he knew about it and kept his mouth shut. Not that he was actually pushing. It's like,
I'm using the word pushing. He was a part of the operation. He wasn't just knowledgeable and silent, but an active part of it. Him and Christopher both.
No, I don't think that's true.
Okay, take it to court then. I don't know what you want me to tell you. That's what they said.
No, in fact, when Kaiserling says like, I knew about it. I figured out I knew about it.
This is why we have juries, because obviously you need more than one person.
Yeah. There's the whole thing that he's basically confessing to Kirchhoff about. It's like, yeah, I knew about it, but I kept my mouth shut. It's like, oh, but you should have said something.
Man, I said my piece. He's guilty in my eyes. of this, because I believe that's what they said. If you disagree, Take it to your notes. I don't know what to tell you. Read your next two notes.
Oh, you have more notes?
Yeah, I have a couple, but you said yours were like short, so I'm gonna just power through them, and
Okay.
I only have like a couple more myself.
Yeah. The fighting sequence in Zero G was cool. I liked it.
Yeah.
And apparently it's part of a actual sport where people either play ball or fight in Zero G, but not with actual knives. Not supposed to kill each other, apparently.
I mean, the one woman says, no, it's either the guy or the woman. It's real. So I don't know.
Yeah.
They might have thought a play was going on for all I know. And I was like, is that the same guy who was in episode 1 going, I should have bet 100 marks on you? It's like, is that the same guy or is that not the same guy?
It looks like this could be the same guy, but then again, and apparently this time around he was just drunk. It's like, and my final note.
The element also that you can't say I bet and just assume that the other person is automatically in the bet because like I didn't agree to that.
Yeah. And my final note talking about the whole Kesselring thing. So Kesselring kept his mouth shut during the court martial, not to protect Basil, but to protect Johann.
Well, technically to protect. You keep calling him Basil. Christopher. I mean, in my head, he's Christopher. So,
yeah.
Because technically, Johanna is Basil. Yeah. So,
Admiral Basil.
Yeah, whatever. They had the same last name, and that is the last. Yeah. That's the mistake I keep making in the Donghua that I watch, is I keep calling everybody by their family name. So the element when two people are in the same family, I get all fucked up because I haven't been referring to them by their actual names. Anyway, he's protecting him because he has to be a good guy because that's the man that Johanna loves, and Johanna would only be in love with that person.
But so essentially he's protecting her.
Right, but he's actively protecting him.
Yeah.
He's protecting him for her, but that doesn't separate the fact that he's protecting him through silence. Well, no, sorry, the silence was the other court-martial. All right, well, like I said, I only have 2 notes left. Christopher couldn't be making himself look more suspicious, prying to get to know what Kirchase knows, facial twitching constantly. Plus, Kirchase asked him what time he arrived and on what ship, and Christopher just says 10:30 and never says what ship he arrived on. Plus, after this interaction, Kirchase gets attacked. Really think I'm right about before? I say, knowing I'm wrong about before.
I mean, actually, it's more than that. The guy was pretending to be under the symptoms of the drug, wanders away. Kirchase follows him. Kirchase suspects, because this is very interesting, Kirchase actually suspects that this guy is faking it. That's why he was ready for the fight and didn't get jumped and got killed. It's like, oh yeah, this is clearly a trap, but I'm going to follow this guy anyway. And then later was like, yeah, that was a trap. I was really sure about that.
I mean, I disagree with your observation that Kirchase knew or thought that the guy might be faking, because there's no indication of that, because it's just a silent tracking montage of him going around corners and everything. We never hear anything.
Later on, he's sitting down and he's like, yeah, this is what happened and that happened and da. Like, okay, thank you. In fact,
I would think that Kirchase thinks it's real, because otherwise then why would he follow him? And not for nothing, there's always these like slow moments of build up before a fight happens where everyone just looks surprised all the time. What are we doing? We're the ones who set up the fight. Why do we look confused? Like every fight, like even back in Reinhardt's first posting, where they're like attacking a woman in the thing, and then they're like, "Where are we about to fight?" It's like, I mean, we're starting the fight, even though we look confused.
Yeah,
it's just that
we're doing this. Yes, we're doing. Some people are like, I was supposed to. I didn't know it was a protagonist. Shit. Okay, just play along.
Well, I mean, that's the disservice I've done you in this, is that when Reinhardt is the animated thing here on the screen, it's Reinhardt going Super Saiyan about that fight from the very beginning. And when it's your boy Yang, he's eating a hamburger. That's the disservice I've done you, is that's what I prefer to put Yang up as. Sorry, give me 1 sec here. I gotta move the camera. That's where the green line is showing up over here. Okay, that seems fixed. And my final note. Well, I write these notes out as I rewatch the episode, so getting to the halfway point of the 3rd episode where Hoffman just gives us all the information that basically spells out what he thinks is going on, and having it align with my predictions above really makes all of those notes worthless. as I could have just waited till the end and let Hoffman do all the work for me.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, I mean, that's just not interesting. All right, well, as I said, we do have a comment. A humpier rogue from Patreon from the episode Dishonor Part 2. I think the whole bit of Curtius is kind of internally wondering if he's just a nice guy, simp for Anna Rose, doomed to be single is interesting. I definitely think the amount of couples we see in that one scene is intentional. It's not like a typical anime where it has to have Curtius internally monologue about it, but it's definitely there.
Yeah, and multiple times he's in trap. He goes into places where there's a lot of couples, and he's like, "Well, this sucks."
Well, very specifically, we had a conversation about that
In the
one balcony. Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, there's still the element that, God, did he say it during one of the episodes? Not a love triangle, but sort of referring to the relationship that he is in, where it's like he's with Reinhardt, but he's also hoping to be with Anna Rose.
I don't recall that, but then that doesn't mean that didn't happen. Just don't recall it.
There's also the element that I am watching a lot of shows that I take notes about on my own, and it could have been something happened in one of many other shows that I'm watching where love triangles is just a thing. So who the hell knows?
Yeah. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I don't remember.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I guess with all that said, there's nothing left to do but to hop on in and see what we get as the wrap up.
But before we get started,
Make sure that you hit the like button.
Hit that subscribe button.
Comment down below to feed that algorithm.
on top of all that, if you want to watch more shows like this,
Unfiltered.
Uncensored.
And uncut.
as well as some early access stuff,
You can check it out over on the Patreon.
It's just $5 a month, but hey, no pressure.
There's zero pressure in order to do that. It's just a little bit of extra support, and it would be greatly appreciated.
And
The thing
probably the last time we're going to be seeing this.
Good thing I lowered the volume too. Look at
Well, I mean, I recorded 70%.
yes, it says season 2, right?
Well, it's just the element that we don't know what the opening of the actual show is going to be.
Yeah.
Nor
Could it be
any
an
idea
English
if it's
show?
going to change over the course of 100 episodes.
Well, it's a 1980s anime, so it could, but not necessarily would, I guess.
So you're saying that like it's common for 80s anime to have different openings. It's not.
It isn't. That's what
That's
I'm saying. I said it could, as in, ooh, maybe.
Yeah, but no,
not
the way you're phrasing
certainly.
it, you said it's an 80s anime, so it could, as though it's common. I think you
No,
should say it's an 80s anime, so probably not, would be the default.
Yeah.
It's just the fact that it's 100 episodes. Maybe it's broken down into 25 episode seasons. I don't know. New seasons could have different openings.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just spoiled for modern anime. Like I said, I'm watching Apothecary Diaries. Every 25 episodes is 2 new openings.
I mean, it happened to us during 80 Stardust Memory. Like in the 10th episode, 9th episode was the one that changed everything. And kind of spoiled too.
I don't know. I'm used to a lot of hints in openings, and there wasn't there. That was just stuff that happens.
帝国軍が回覧したのは気化したサイオキシン麻薬が流れ出し将兵が急性の麻薬中毒に陥ったからではないのですかなぜですなぜそうまでしてバーゼル少将をかばわなくてはならなかったのですか
それほど難しい疑問ではない
Because he's the man Johanna fell in love with. Yeah. It's also kind of an extension of that storyline from the last arc.
彼女にふさわしい高潔で実のある男
そんな
だが誠意や愛情がそれを尽くされる者にとっては負担でしかない場合もあるんだな人生は初級の数学ではない方程式で全てが解決するわけではないこれだけの
This is you, by the way.
これだけの結果が返ってくる
You mean, what is it me?
Sometimes there's mysteries you just don't solve.
なんと単純で明
Oh.
快なものだろう
Look, man, you made that your catchphrase when you said it.
私より
I didn't make it my catchphrase. You made it my catchphrase.
Yeah, but you said it. I didn't put the words in your
Yeah, I
mouth.
said it.
You said it.
I mean, I still have a point. It's just that you completely
don't have a
disregarded
point.
that point. I do have a point.
No, you try to solve all mysteries. It's not a thing to not try and solve mysteries.
If you're a writer,
The
you
point
leave
of
some mysteries
unsolved
for the
mysteries
audience.
wasn't look at these mysteries, we're not going to try and solve them.
No, because it allows for depth in narrative. You don't have to know every single thing that happens.
No, Lessons. You can have mysteries that remain unsolved. That doesn't mean that you don't try to solve them.
Chapter 4.
In this life, Lessons, you either get remembered for your worst deeds or your best deeds. This is going to fall into your worst deeds, but you will be remembered for it. Sorry, Curtis, can you say it out loud for the wire that I'm wearing?
法廷での証言はあくまでできないと。
本人に証言する気がなくても犯人は口封じを狙ってくるかもしれん。この部屋には誰も近づけるな。はっ。
That makes sense.
捕まえた男の方は
やはり金で雇われただけで雇い主のことは何も
A
知らない
mercenary. Well, hired thugs will be a thing everywhere. That's not.
3年前も現在も
Doesn't mean like they have mercenary armies or, you know.
バーゼル退役中将だった。おそらくその事実をバーゼル夫人はご承知なのでしょうな。
What did Curtis find out?
バーゼル氏と
Or
夫人は
have a revelation about?
別のことをおられます。
My worry is that she is addicted to the drug, and it's going to get a
Yeah,
lot
we
worse than
talked
we
about that
think.
before. Yeah, she might be addicted.
別々のシングルの部屋しか空いていなかったとこで
Because it also imply, because, you know, the fact that the drug is teratogenic, any kids that they might have tried to have are going to be all fucked up.
Michael の代理でいらしたそうですね。ご苦労様。
はい。なぜかそういう
You heard it from who?
Sorry, is Hoffman hiding around the corner? Where did he go?
実は
多分あなたのおっしゃりたいのは夫。
Also, her wearing the gem there on the neck reminds me of the first Star Trek movie.
なぜ
She knows.
そう思いです。
だってこの衛星に麻薬密売組織の
Oh.
So none of my guesses, not a single one.
やはりそうだったのか。
クリストフにも私は匿名で知らせました。あなたの悪事を知っている者がいる。今のうちに手を引けばあえて関係には知らせないと。でも逆効果でした。
バーゼル中将はそのメッセージをカイザーリング閣下からの脅迫と思ったのですね。だから患者を資格として払った。
I mean, that seems pretty obvious. That if you say someone tipped everything off, then the only other guy who's here that you guys know.
ええ、お若い人、あなたの推測なさった通りです。
そのメッセージがカイザーリング閣下に対する危険を招くことまで予測なさるのは無理だったでしょう。ですが、ここに予定より早く着いたバーゼル中将の意図は察しておられたはずです。失礼ながら、カイザーリング閣下は奥様を愛していらした方です。
Yeah, no shit, he proposed to me.
承知で申し上げますが、なんとかご配慮いただけなかったでしょうか。
お若い人、私が誰に愛されたかということは問題ではありません。私が誰を愛したかということが重要なのですよ。
Fair enough, I guess.
ミヒャエルがクリストフより善良で誠実な人であることは私にも分かっていました。でもね、お若い人、人間としての評価の高さと愛情の深さとの間には何の関係もないのです。
Disagree, but sure.
Well, no.
そう、1年
You can fall in love with a drug addict or whatever the fuck, you know?
Oh, yeah.
What you fall in love with has nothing to do with what you might think of
で
them.
も許されぬ所業をしていることを知りました。 そしてミヒャエルの気持ちにつけ込んで3年前にその容疑を逃れたことも。
それでは
私は夫を裏切ることはできません。
But didn't you just did?
No. She set up the circumstance by which Christopher could stop, and he didn't. So
そして少々の小細工もしました。ですが夫が予定より2日早くここへ到着するよう決めたとき、私の甘い思惑は外れたのです。
yeah, I guess he was hiding behind the door. No to what?
That she couldn't get a kissing ring to.
Yeah, there's so many questions on the table. Just shaking your head, no. Don't. Tell me stuff. Which, I mean, don't shake your head no and tell me stuff. Yeah, I guess the only thing now is to try and entrap Christopher. Yeah, as the police, we're allowed to lie. Sorry, are you and Johanna in different rooms?
Apparently.
I guess they are old enough. At a certain age, you push the beds together. At a different age, you push the beds apart.
街中で5人の男に命を狙われました。そのうち4人は死にましたが、1人は逮捕されました。それはたびたびの災難だったな。だがそれが私と何の関わりがあるという。
Oh, geez, be an asshole about it. Why don't you? I just told you I got
バ
attacked.
ーゼル退役中将、あなたに命じられたと自供しております。バカなありえん。なぜそうお考えですか。彼らには自分の正体を明かしていない。彼らから自分の名前が出ることは。
To be fair, that was not a confession. He just said, that's impossible. Because I had nothing to do with it. No, now you're falling into the trick, you stupid idiot.
残念だが失敗を認めねばなるまい。そこで相談だが、適当な金額で折り合いをつけんかね、中佐。
See, if he was Elron from Gundam, he would just pull a gun.
さらに巻き上げる気はありません。やれやれ。背ばかりは大きい。
One hand behind his back, could still be pulling a gun.
戦争というやつはもともと利益になるから存在するのだよ。考えてもみるがいい。利益を得る者がいるからこそ戦争が起きるのだ。誰一人得をする者がいないのなら、そんな社会上のシステムが存続するわけはないのだ。
I mean, he has a point.
それが存続するからには、それを有効に利用する道を考えるべきではないかね。
I'll try to overturn.
戦争に関する哲学を論じる気はない。現状を認識すること、肯定すること、悪用すること、それぞれ別のものであるはずだ。あなた個人の利益のために兵士たちが心身を犯さねばならない理由がどこにあります？豚は人間に食われるために存在。
Yeah, he's
He
got to have
also
a
has
gun
a
behind
gun
his
in his
back.
back.
I said that.
Yeah.
I said that before.
それが大げさに言えば宇宙の。
There's no way you see this guy reaching and just keep your hand behind your back.
怒ったかね。だが中佐、ケイとて兵士たちを戦場で死なせて今日の地位を得たのではないのかね。
What prince?
ケイは枠組みを守り、私はいささか踏み外した。単にそれだけの差だよ。違う。少なくともラインハルト様、いや、ミューゼル大将は私利私欲のために戦ってはおられない。
Did you just take your hand away from the gun?
まあいい。で、正義感の中佐殿としてはどうしたいのだね。告発でもするか。それもいい。
I guess he wasn't reaching.
何の物証もないではないか。私の申し出を受けた方が賢明というものだぞ。物証の代わりにカイザーリング退役少将の証言がある。振られ男の恨み事か。バカバカしい。嫉妬のあまりの妄言ということで片付けられるさ。では、閣下の夫人にも証言していただく。ほんなに。夫人もすべてを知っておられる。
And that's the bluff.
あなたのもとに警告のメッセージを送ったのは夫人なのだ。夫人は警告によってあなたが改心し、3年前にカイザーリング閣下に汚名を着せて、あなたが罪を逃れたことを詫びるよう期待したのだ。だが、あなたはそんな夫人の気持ちも踏みにじって。
そうか。ヨハンナは40年前にミハエルを振った心の負い目をそんな形で拭い去ろうとしたのだな。
It's not what I understood, but okay.
頭を下げるのは彼女ではない。私だからな。粋なものだ。
あなたはそんな考えしかできないのか。
Get too close,
だ
dude.
から今まで
You're gonna get
生きてこら
stung.
れた。
Nope, just punched. Golden gun. That's an instant win, if I recall.
キルヒアイス。
Ah, foot on the chest, too.
称賛すべき気質の持ち主であるよう
Ah, but you got a monologue instead of pulling the trigger.
殺さんと長生きできんぞ。
余計なお世話だ。
余計なお世話か。だが私に言わせれば3年前
From my standpoint, the Jedi are evil.
こそそれだった。頼みもせぬに罪を引き受け、私に無言の恩を押し付けたのだ。奴は昔からそういう。
話はお済みですかな、中佐。バズル退役中将閣下。殺人未遂の
I'll be honest, I kind of forgot Hoffman was still in the hallway.
Yeah.
何をバカな。そこに落ちてる銃を見ろ。私が殺されそうになったのだ。これはあくまで正当防衛だ。
あいにく
Oh, he was wearing a wire.
伺っておりました。すべて録音してあります。バーゼル閣下、あなたが麻薬密売に関係していたことを認めた発言もです。
そんなものが法廷で証拠として通用するか。
At this point, regret throwing your gun to the side.
弁護士がつけば難しいかもしれませんな。しかし、当面この部屋と閣下の荷物を調べる正当な理由にはなるでしょう。
調べるだと。警官ごときが出しゃばるな。私は帝国軍退役中将。
Yeah, keyword retired.
民間人と同列に扱って済むと思うか。
お言葉ですが閣下、純粋の刑事犯罪、中んずく殺人、麻薬事犯等の重犯罪に関しては身分秩序を考慮する必要なしと内務省の規定に明記してあります。
子役人がたかだか一官長の規定を盾に元将官たるものを検測しようというのか。少子戦
Which ministry were you hoping?
ご不満なら軍務省を通じて内務省に話をしていただいても結構です。しかし閣下の荷物を調べさせていただけば確実な証拠も出てくるでしょう。そうなれば一般裁判であろうと軍事裁判であろうと。
I mean, fair, you're only assuming you're gonna find evidence. He might not have come with evidence.
なるほど。どうやら私の負け。
Oh, never mind. Maybe he knows he would find evidence.
最後に妻に一言言っておきたいので許可してほしい。
どうぞ。
So they're both gonna die before the end of the episode? No, never mind. I thought he was actually gonna go there.
ヨハンナ、私だ。お前の部屋のライティングデスクに私の書類入れが置いてあるな。その中身をすぐに燃やせ。
Haha, you dumb fucks.
私は中身と言っただけだ。それが証拠品であることをどうやって証明する。あなたという
Because you're recording you saying this.
拘束しよう。
At no point does that get rid of your verbal evidence.
フラウバーゼル、ここを開けてください。
Oh, cool. You can keep the trigger pulled. Like a phaser.
その資料をください、夫人。それがあれば、クリストフ・フォン・バーゼル中将を告発できます。麻薬事犯として。軍隊
Do you not remember the conversation I had with you?
アルレスハイム敗戦の真の責任者として。カイザーリング少将に汚名を晴らす機会をあげてください。
お若い人、私はクリストフを罪人とすることに協力することはできません。彼に頼まれたことを実行します。
フラウバーゼル、
私はこれを焼いてしまいます。止めたければ私をお撃ちなさい。
Shoot her in the leg.
夫人。
事の利弊、事の善悪は私には関係ないことです。クリストフが自ら罪を認めぬというのであれば、私も夫の罪を認めることはできません。
So this is basically set up to set him as an enemy of them, essentially, especially of Kirchites. Because if he goes free, you know.
撃つんだ。
I don't think you have the right to shoot her for burning papers.
Yeah.
That is not equivalent force. If that such a thing exists in the Empire. You could fire a warning shot. That's...
ダメだ。撃てない。
To be fair, though, this is the kind of wife you want. Who the fuck was that? That better not have been cursing. Kieserling.
Kieserling, yeah.
Well, blue on the arm. Kind of matched his outfit.
Yeah.
Now, there we go. Also, straight up murder.
Yeah.
Johanna.
I just don't get why he would have done that.
Johanna.
He would have rather have gone to jail than see this happen to her. It seemed.
I think ultimately he...
Why are you rushing to hurt? Well, I mean, yeah, he's dying. Seems like you should restrain the guy who just murdered somebody, though.
I guess he won't be the enemy then. Because it's gotten...
We don't
wrapped
know.
up.
We don't know what the time frame of the show could be. This guy could, like, escape jail or some shit.
Yeah, probably.
There's a reason I got a border on the characters on the board where some of them are arrested. Sorry, did he just call the guy who shot a woman in the back honorable?
I mean, in the preventing a crime from being committed, I suppose.
You mean
Which
he committed a crime? Just
No,
because in the
preventing
act of
her-
preventing
preventing her from
burning,
committing a crime.
he committed a crime, though. He's not a law enforcement officer. Also,
I
even
know
if he
that, I
was, he
know
wouldn't have
that.
the responsibility to shoot her in the back. I'm just saying, honorable and knight is not what you describe the guy who just shot a defenseless woman in the back, who herself offered up no threat. There's no reason you couldn't walk across the room and grab the papers out of her hand. Also, Reinhardt should be arriving today.
Yeah.
It's been 2 days for them now, day 3.
Oh.
Yeah, what you thought? Anna Rose was showing up? Of course not.
Yeah.
Let me tell you about the day I've had. What do you have? I don't think Reinhardt would have pulled the trigger there either.
Oh, in fact, you didn't pull the trigger because you thought he would not approve of it.
Sorry, that kid standing next to that woman was a grown-ass man. Just shrunken down to look like a kid. With golden wings, you might say?
Oh yeah, this guy is in love with both of them, basically.
では、俺もお前のそばで羽を伸ばそう。まず再会を祝してワインを一杯。その後、良ければ何があったか聞かせてくれ。
キルヒアイスは自分がラインハルトのように波動を貫くことはできないことを自覚していた。同時にその波動を貫くことの危うさも知覚していた。だからこそ自分たちは互いに必要な存在なのだと今はそう信じるキルヒアイスだった。
What a weird ending. There's no reason he should have shot her in the back. Like, It goes against everything he set up ahead of time.
But I think ultimately it's the nice guy syndrome, right? If he couldn't have her, no one could.
No, that doesn't make sense at all. He is literally sat in like shame for not. He didn't feel shame, but essentially his life his name has been ruined for 3 years now because he sacrificed everything for her, and on behalf of defending her husband for her. And at no point was he like, I regret this. This is like a betrayal of the character that was shown to us.
No, he regretted not doing the right thing.
Well, at the end. And if you're going to go that route, then you're going to say that this is Kerchase's fault because he convinced him to shoot her in the back, essentially. The last episode where he talked to the guy and it's like, this is all bad, this is all regretful, and he's like, oh God, you're right. Then the actions he takes here at the end of this episode is because of Kerchase in that conversation. Which is just the same as convincing him to shoot her in the back. That wouldn't have happened if Kerchase not gotten involved.
Yeah, but the idea was to have him convince, testify against Basil. But he didn't.
I'm just saying that Kerchase's conversation sets him up for shooting her in the back.
Yeah, but I don't think Kerchase is responsible for this guy's actions.
I think he is responsible, not in a legal sense, or a moral sense, or maybe an emotional sense. I'm saying that there's a direct correlation to what happened in Kerchase having that conversation.
Yeah.
In a universe where they didn't meet, old man would be dead. He would have gotten stabbed to death at the counter of the hotel.
I mean, yeah, but that's just, Oh. Yes, the next episode is the opening of the series? Yeah, it is.
I told you, the way we've been watching chronologically, these things, like you said, when we finish one arc, the next time on isn't for the next arc in that season. It's for, hey, go on to season 2, watch episode 7 or some shit. So
there has to be a reason for that. I think it has to be a DVD thing.
No, I told you, well, you've already said that before, but I'm saying that it's following chronologically the same that we are.
Yeah.
It just works out well. Yeah, I don't know. I'd rather watch what's his name die than watch a woman get shot in the back.
I mean, yeah.
It's just also the element that there's no call for that. Just walk across the room and grab the papers out of her hand.
I mean, she could have just throw them. Maybe.
Sure, and then in which case you still got the recording of him admitting to his crimes and then admitting to calling his wife and having her burn the evidence. You've still got him on quite a lot. And no one had to get shot in the back. I mean, at the end of the day, you're already considered to be a coward by everybody. And I don't think it's going to go good on your record of coward, shot woman in back.
Well, I think the way
defenseless woman in back.
I think the way that is being positioned, I'm not agreeing with it. It's just been positioned that he stopped. Honor is more important. And therefore, because he stopped her from covering a crime, that's the good thing that he did, right? She was complicit in that crime. Therefore, she was dishonored as well, right? Even though we know that she, she just was going with the flow.
Classic honorable knight behavior, shooting women in back.
Actually, knights, I mean, we have to think about what we think about honor. It's not modern. I mean, also, I'm going to say this. It's a fictional space that we're living in, and they're thinking that this is honorable.
Here's the thing, though, is when we talk about knights and honor, we talk about chivalry. We don't talk about actual real-world knights. But then we're talking about English, French wars and shit, which are horrible people doing horrible things. We refer to honor and knighthood in chivalrous terms. And in those terms, you don't attack a woman. Hell, you don't attack a woman even if she is armed. But this, certainly you don't shoot a woman in the back.
This is what is your biggest responsibility? Is it to this woman?
You've already got the recorded evidence.
He didn't know that.
He did. Sorry, Kerchase knew that.
I mean, but Kerchase didn't shoot her.
Kerchase didn't stop him either. Kerchase could have
He
stopped
didn't see him.
He did see him.
He didn't see
He
him.
turned
No.
and saw the gun.
No, the thing that happened was that the shot passes like, what the hell?
No,
And
the
then he
hand
turns
comes
around.
forward into his sight line. Kerchase looks and sees the gun. Kerchase, who has responded to 5-on-1 attacks this whole thing. So
I don't think he saw the gun line at all. I think he just saw the shot pass by.
no, I think he saw the hand in the gun because that's what we see and that's what Kerchase can see from this position because our sight line is from Kerchase's side.
No, because he was in the door, unless his hand is like...
No, I understand that the
hand
guy was in the
teleported.
door, but he is reaching forwards. That's why the
Yeah, but
gun
that must
falls
be a
in front
very
of
long
the
hand.
gun falls in
That's a-
front of him, and the gun is in front of Kerchase too.
No, he must have if he
Well,
could do that, he
you've
would be
proven
like
me
fucking
wrong.
fast.
You've proven me wrong because I said we would at least be arguing until 2, and it's currently 2:10, and we're still arguing.
Yeah.
So on time base
Mr.
alone.
Fantastic.
By the way,
He's
this is
like,
a crossover
"Oh."
now. This is a crossover now from Giant Robo, where I said we would be arguing till 2. I just realized that
Yeah.
I said that, and that's not going to make sense to anyone who's only watched us watching Legend of the Galactic Heroes.
Unless he has the power to Mr. Fantastic, I don't think he could have shot.
No,
and put
everyone
the
needs the
gun right
power
here
of Mr.
when he was-
Fantastic. Remember Char's 6-foot-long leg?
Yeah, apparently.
Yeah, that shit just happens. Also, Kerchase is standing just in front of the door frame. So when this guy is in the door frame...
No, he's like halfway into the room.
No. I mean, it seemed like that at one point, but then this guy reached in front of him, so his gun was in front of him.
Yeah, of course. Sure, why not?
It's not my fault, man. I didn't animate the show. It's what the perspective is.
No. I think you're saying things that are not there. You gotta,
I'm on dioxin. Is that what you're saying?
probably.
One of the many drugs that I'm on.
But yeah, this was an episode. An arc was okay-ish.
I
Sort
think it
of.
would have been better had it gone the way that I said, where they were both trying to set each other up, and not just this, like, I'm a simp for the woman who rejected me a long time ago thing.
You said I murdered. I'm not saying he didn't murder her. I'm not disputing the fact that was murder. I'm just saying that this is how it might be seen in the universe. That was my whole argument.
Yeah, you keep defending yourself as though I've argued against you. I just
saying.
keep rallying against the fact that an unarmed woman got shot in the back, and you keep responding as though I'm attacking you on this. I keep saying he shot an unarmed woman in the back, and then they refer to it as honorable and like a knight's duty, and then you're like, I've got to step in and defend the show for some reason. Like, no, you don't. Dude shot a woman in the back, and they were like, good job, dude. Like, what the fuck are we doing?
Yeah, that's
Life in the
for you.
Empire.
Yeah, well, I told you.
You told me what?
These people suck.
But they don't.
They just shot a woman in the back,
Yeah, they did.
and they justified it.
I think they justified it to themselves. Because, like, that's not something somebody said out loud. That felt like internal monologue shit.
No. Literally, the detective was like, "Oh, he's like an all-honorable knight," and to Kerchase, and it was like, he's just like, "Okay, I guess, I'm not gonna discuss the point."
Just because this
Like, literally
happened
what the
doesn't mean
detective-
that it sucks.
You know what?
You said
It's-
these people suck, and it was like, just because one bad thing happens doesn't mean that everybody sucks.
Can we go back to the note that all the things that the Reinhard is like, by the way, this founding family of the Empire,
Right,
in
but
order
you
to found the
you
Empire,
don't seem to be
did all
connecting
these horrible
you don't
things.
seem to be connecting the things here that Kerchase was on the side of the guy who shot the person in the back. So
Yeah.
you're saying that Reinhardt and Kerchase suck in your example of
I said the
Reinhardt is the
Empire
one
sucks.
who's going against the Empire.
I hope so.
What I'm saying is that you're saying that Kerchase, who's gotten all of his cues from following Reinhardt the entire time, is also among the people who suck because he was on the side of the person who shot the woman in the back. So therefore, everybody sucks, is what you're saying, including the person that you're saying is your reference point for other people sucking.
The Empire just sucks.
Well, at least the Empire didn't defund the history department. How about that? Fuck you.
Yeah, whatever. Anyway, I think we're done here.
I think, at the very least, no one in the Empire is denying what they did by defunding the
'cause
history department.
Just being a rat asses, sons of bitches. Well, we're doing it in the open. What are you going to do about it? Nothing. So screw you then.
Yeah. All I can say is we'll just have to wait until we get into the show to see how much your alliance also fucking sucks. Don't remember that the defector from the Empire went and joined the alliance, and he's like, this place sucks too. I want to go back. If you don't remember that from Silver Valley. No, Silver Valley was the Ice Planet one. The Labyrinth, the Twisting Labyrinth one. Where, again, guy from the place that sucks goes to the Alliance, discovers the Alliance fucking sucks too, and would rather go back to the place where people get shot in the back, has thought police, all this other shit, than stay in the Alliance.
Like I said, one man's opinion.
Yeah, but the guy who also controls the Inspire spy network. So, the most informed man that we know's opinion. Anyway, I guess with all that said, once again, I have been Theta, this has been Lessons, we've been Stoneface Reactions, and we will catch you next time. Bye-bye.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another Stoneface Reactions. If you have an idea of another video we could go ahead and watch, go ahead and put it in the comments down below and we'll add it to the wheel. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let us know what you thought about this video, what parts you liked. And until then, we'll see you next time. Is this too goofy?